All right, so now we're recording, and then I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see your screen. Yeah.
Perfect. So this is that online portal, and if you actually have that app downloaded, what we'll have to do is I'll get you some of the customer ID and customer secret information, and then I'll just get your unit ID. And basically, these units here are any that are linked to this account. But actually, I'll send it in an email to you as well. But in this My Account section, when that app prompts you for a customer ID and customer secret, it's going to be located right here. So
Yeah.
it's just
Okay.
Tally and demo on this one, so pretty easy. So that's where that's located, but kind of going back here, kind of how, and I think I've explained this a little bit, how our system works is we've got what we call tasks, and then underneath kind of that task level are these lists. So you can have as many tasks as you need with our system. Kind of the limiting factor is you can have up to 5 lists of information per task. So we have just on this demo account, the way these are set up is for the task, we actually called it a specific block location or field, however you want to kind of frame that. That's what we have here. And then you'll see the associated lists for that task. And then of course, these are all really customizable. So it's just as simple. If you need a new task or basically a new task in the system, you can add it in here. You just give it a name, at which point you assign your lists, and then the other pieces of information here you can ignore. It's kind of for a labor tracking stuff, but it's really easy. That's all it takes to add new tasks into the system. And I'll show you kind of what the lists very similar look like. The two kind of static lists that don't change that we've made available are these ABC select lists and the color lists. And as you know, the ABC is for grading. So if they do in-field grading, they can quickly select this A, B, or C to assign it a grade. And then the color, of course, I'll show you on the app, is grouping specific sizes into a specific color if they do any sort of painting or tagging out in the field as well. So those are the only two lists that are kind of that don't change. But when it comes to any additional lists, like for variety, for example, you'll see in here, our software guy must be doing work on here. There we go, get back in there. Basically, you can add in, you can give the list any name that makes sense, and then you can add in as many of these list items, so in this case, variety, as you need. And we've got a nice way to actually do an import as well. So if most people already have a list of their tree varieties, either in Excel, or they can grab them from another piece of software and then of course do an import in here. But same idea, it's really easy, straightforward to add any new list information. Some folks will actually have maybe drilled down as far as doing a specific row. So you could add a row list in here and put your row numbers. So it kind of varies as to what our customers record, how general the information is or how specific. The other thing I want to say too is some of the growers here in the States that do the importing into a variety of software, inventory software packages, we've kind of made it so that the lists can be a little bit more specific and actually be kind of separated a bit, so you can have a lot of information in one kind of one list item. So for example, you could have a list that had the variety. We typically use kind of that bar symbol to separate it instead of like a comma, just because the bar is easy to kind of filter out, and commas sometimes in software get in the way of things. So I'm a customer off the top of my head that I know does like the variety name, they do a bar, and then they can even put in maybe the year it was planted, and then any other maybe code that's associated with that specific batch of plants. And they actually store all of that information in one of these pieces of the list items. So we've been able to kind of work with these lists in a variety of ways, depending on kind of how specific our customer gets and if they're doing that importing. So, and what will be great is you can get in here and you can play around with it and kind of see what might be a good option. But I can also stick in kind of some other examples that I've seen with our other customers in here as well. But that's as simple, that's the setup process, is really putting in tasks and lists, and then that's really all you do on the setup side for our portal.
Yeah, no, that's clear. A question. The customer Cheyenne, we discussed. Did they have a look at this system as well?
I actually am not sure. I know we shipped out the caliper, I believe, last week. I know shipping right now is a little crazy, so I actually am not sure if they've received their caliper yet, but I'm sure in the next probably week we'll be hearing from them, or we'll reach out and give them kind of this same portal tour and training and such. So we haven't worked with them yet to get anything set up in their portal. So as far as I know, there's still a clean slate.
Okay.
Great. So that's the portal, like I said. So once you get these tasks and lists defined and kind of figured out how you want to do it, then we can move over to the actual app. And I've got this piece of software here that really is just taking what's on the handheld and putting it on the screen here. So I'll show you a little bit here on the config screen side. So this is where they would be able to do a little bit of setting up. So if they wanted to use that ABC select, they would be able to select that here. If they're using the caliper, and I know in Europe you're doing circumference versus diameter, that's where they'd set it up here. And then the one thing I wanted to note is this is also where you'd put in those different color ranges. And same idea, you add in, let's just say 40 to 50 now. We're going to assign it, let's just do pink. And that's going to save that in here. So this is where a little bit of the setup happens on this handheld. But I'm just going to go ahead and kind of give this a sync. Every time, oops, close the app out. Every time you sync the device, it basically pulls any new task and list information down onto this device, as well as pushes up any new data. So I'm just going to start with kind of what the InstaCaliper screen looks like. You'll see this is where our task and list information pops up. And at this point, this is where you could change it. So if we were in block 2, we won't worry about the color or the grade, but let's say now we're working with a different tree variety. This is where you would change that. And now let's say I'm ready to take a measurement for just example purposes. I'll just type in something here. It's a size 20, and that saves it in. It assigns it that yellow color that we set up in our ranges, and we've got a measurement. So I'm going to actually say I moved on to the next tree. This one's not very good. It's a B grade. Let's just say this one's 30, and that's saved in there. So every time you're taking that measurement, it's getting tagged with this task and list information in here, and saving it. So let's just add one more in for good measure here. And then, well, let's give another one an A grade. All right, so any questions? And like I said, we'll get your device registered so that you can play around with it too. But questions on how the app itself kind of looks or works?
No, that seems pretty intuitive.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. We tried to keep it as simple as possible for the operator out in the field. So that's that. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and hit that sync, and we're going to switch gears back to the portal just so you can see where that data goes. So it typically takes about a minute for the data from the handheld to sync up to the portal. Has to do a little processing, and then eventually will show up here in this InstaCaliper log. So this is all the data that's being collected on the handheld. Everything is given a date and a timestamp. And then this is where you'll see that task name, which in this case is our block. This actually has to do with the different handheld it's coming from. So if growers had multiple handhelds, they would know where it's coming from there. And then of course you've got your measurement and then these lists. So you know what your grade is, the color, and then of course the variety. So pretty straightforward. This is kind of, I would say a handful of our customers even just download this data log and use Excel to do kind of their inventory counts and number crunching. So this is definitely always available, and you can do a bunch of filtering on it too. So you can pull up a specific date range, a specific task, and all of that. So again, pretty straightforward. I'm gonna refresh it, see if we can get our days worth stuff up here. So yeah, that's the InstaCaliper log. Kind of any questions about what that looks like?
No questions. Also, this seems pretty clear.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And then let me just show you kind of what reports we have available right now. So the InstaCaliper report we kind of made available to all of our customers, and it does give you that ability to, again, put in a date range. You can do a little bit of filtering on your different blocks, maybe a specific, I want to know per variety how many counts are going on. And then of course your measurements. So this actually sets it up in different windows. Let's see if anything shows up here. Let's make sure I got the right date in. It is, we're in April now. Let's pull that up. Yeah, that'll be good. Oh, I know why. Still not getting stuff up here. Minimum window. Oh, I think I was in block 2, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Looks like our data is not quite up here yet for today. But this will just give you basically a variety, basically per variety, how many counts are in these different size windows. So it's a report that I would say, again, maybe half of our customers use just to get their inventory counts. But it's pretty generic, and it doesn't really, I would say it's not used for any sort of importing into other pieces of software, but that is available. And then, as I mentioned, we're kind of in the process of getting a report for, oops, go back there, InfoGaroon, to try to get it to be a little bit easier on their end to import as well. So basically what we do is, if we need to build up a custom report, we figure out exactly what needs to be where, which filters are needed, and then we turn it over to our software team. They quote out how many hours it will take, and then our kind of going software rate right now is $100 an hour for software time, which is pretty reasonable these days for software work. But this one, for example, kind of the big difference on this one is the ability to put in the stock number. It basically gives you that chance to put in that I want to start at 0, let's say, and then I want to increment by 1. So let's see if I can get some data pulling up here. Google always tries to help me. There we go. Why am I not getting any data for today? Let's see. It's the 7th, right? It's a Wednesday. Oh, I know what my handheld might not be linked up to this account. I always switch them around. Let's see what other data we have in here. Let's do. Okay. Let's go back in here. So this one, for example, let's actually start this at 0 again. Increment by 1, I'll just run a filter on this. So the difference with this one is it is giving you that kind of stock number. It's just assigning it. And so if we were to go all the way back to our last day, it should start at, well, there's a lot of data up here. But basically you get a stock number next to it. So that was kind of the addition on this report, and it's still a bit in work, so there might be a few things that we'll be adjusting on it. But basically, we've got all the data here in the InstaCaliper log. So it's just kind of trying to figure out what you know, what data you need, where we need to put it, and then if we need to build a bit of a custom report to get things in the right place. So I think that's kind of a good transition maybe for kind of what your software looks like and what you're looking for and kind of where things might fit into our software here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen.
Yeah. Let's see how I can share the screen.
You should be.
Here, the green button, I think. What I will do is first maybe first stop. See what I can do now. I will start up the Wintry system, our software. Great. Do I still share the screen with you?
Yeah, you should be able to share the screen. If you click on that green button, it should give you the option to share your entire screen, I think in the top left, and then just hit, I think, the OK button and it should start.
No, see. You don't see my screen now?
Not yet. Let me see.
Not yet. Oh, maybe I do something wrong. Oh.
Okay.
Share the screen. Do you see Wintry now? A gray screen?
Not yet. 1 sec here. You should be able to. So when you click that green share screen button, what pops up for you?
It seems like sharing the screen now with you. I see a big 1 and a 2. I have 2 screens and I.
Okay. I'm still not seeing it, but 1 second here. I'm gonna maybe ask. Let's see. Start video.
Oh, there was an extra. I think now you can see it.
Yep, there you go.
That was it.
Perfect.
Do you see Wintry? My Wintry screen now?
Yep.
Okay. Well, to start with, what you see here on top, the contacts, stock items, articles, and stock. The whole sales process, I won't bother you with that. Also not the purchasing, but to start with this quality combinations and stock. In our Wintry system, an article is a combination of the Latin name and the size.
Okay.
And the size, well, I have a database here. Let's see if I can find an example. This is, for instance, an example. What you see here is that the size is in this database a combination of pot size, the form, age, height. So in the situation of for instance, Cheyenne, with the tree's diameter is one of the blocks in the size.
Okay.
And you can define this structure yourself. So if 4 blocks are enough for you, that's okay. In Holland, we have a system. They work with containing 5 blocks, but if you want to use 10 because you need 10, then you're free. Okay. There is no standard in the industry worldwide. Yeah.
we understand that. That's why we tried to make our system kind of flexible for what people wanted to keep track of, because of the same thing. Everybody does something a little different.
Yeah, for us, the same, but this is something you need to know. We have an article, and that's a stock item. And if I look for instance, maple, just to give you an idea, Latin name, the size, that combination is an article in our system. So that's one. Then you have that article, for instance, on different locations, and there is where we go now. I will choose just one of the locations, and you will see the batches here. So again, Latin name and the size.
Okay.
Every batch has its own barcode. This barcode is the batch number.
Okay.
When you see this in this location, then there is some history. So from what supplier did it come? You buy in your small planting material from a certain supplier. It moves to it comes in the good inwards location, and then you put it in the ground somewhere on a location. But the batch number is on this batch from the beginning. And when you change your stock, and I'll show you the stock alteration screen, and you can do that in Windtree with, for instance, a tablet. You could find here in this screen the potential sizes. We call it grow sizes. So the different diameter ranges could be here. This is when you are going to count in the field the potential sizes you will find. And if you change your stock, then the alteration is also logged. Who did the counting with a timestamp? So you can always look back and view the stock alterations, and you can see exactly what from the start happened with that batch. And this is one of the things as well when I look at your system with measuring. How do we solve that? Because you start from a certain point with this batch. You're going to count in the field a certain location, certain row. And what do we do with the information you will measure in the field? And how do we get that back in this Windtree system? Because this batch, it does change constantly. And when counting, probably one or two pieces of that size block, as we call it, change, maybe the size and the quality, A, B, or C. And how do we get that in?
Yeah, and that's something that I believe we're doing similarly with another software that one of our customers is importing into. And like I said, I think they're using one kind of list block to have that information. And so it would have actually that batch kind of barcode number in it. And then it would also have the variety and whatever other piece of information. So what I will do is I will definitely do a little more research, because there is a company off the top of my head that's, I think, doing something very similar to this, and using, I think, a software company here called eGrow that kind of needs that same information. So I'm going to make a note to go in, learn a little bit more about that, and probably put in a sample in this demo account of what that looks like. And it might be very similar to what you're looking for. So I will definitely do that.
No, that would be very nice. I hope that that is helpful. But I thought I show you our software to get some understanding. And we can export data to Excel very easy. So if something needs to go into the portal, that is possible. When I go to, for instance, a list, right mouse button, and you can export it into Excel. All the columns. We could create an SQL statement, and one of the things I think I sent it earlier, so some XML format, and I don't know if you received it, but we could do that as well. Put all the data from a certain stock count set into to an XML format, so that it can be imported on your site.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good to know too, and that's something I'll definitely make this Zoom recording available so I can pass it along as well to the folks that know a little bit more about that than I do. So perfect, that's good to know that you can do that.
Yeah, we have a tablet stock count option available, and for that offline solution, because a lot of customers walk in the field without any internet connection, they use that XML format as well. So also that format could be used, for instance, to look on your site for something you could send to us to import.
Okay. Great. Yeah, let me do this for sure. I'll do a little more research into eGrow and the kind of setup that we've done for them in order to I want to say it's the same idea of doing batches with having a little bit more information in the lists that allow you to pull out and kind of group things like you need it to when we do our import. So I will definitely follow up on that, and then yeah, I'll get this Zoom video in probably up on YouTube. It's always easiest to share a link that way, and we can pass it around to the folks that might want to see what we're doing. I will also follow up to see if Cheyenne has received their caliper and kind of where they're at, so that we can really start kind of looking at it's always easier to kind of start with somebody who's real, I guess, have real data in there.
Yeah.
And so it'll be a really good way for us to kind of maybe start building on what I think we might be able to do with the way you need it.
I think that I spoke to Sabrina about it at Cheyenne, and she was very eager to try. So well, and of course we are willing to help her and see what we can do together. Also in Holland, we have visited customer Eben. I think it was in 2018, 2019 with your Dutch agent Rob Verkoelen. And well, measuring, they were very enthusiastic. It was very accurate. So that's not the big challenge. It's how to use it, not as a separate island solution, but
definitely
have it integrated
exactly
in their system.
Okay, great. Let me do some follow-up. I do want to get you set up. Do you happen to have your device that you had the InstaCaliper and TallyTrak downloaded on?
My device, my
yeah, your phone. If you had
my cell phone, yeah. I have it here.
Perfect. If you want to try to open up the app, if it's prompting you for the customer ID and customer secret.
Yeah, that it did.
Okay, if you could go ahead and for this account, it is just, I believe that customer ID is Tally, so all lowercase TALLY.
Yeah, Tally.
And then the customer secret is Demo, all lowercase DEMO. And if you can try to register that.
Register.
Yep. And then once that's registered, if you could swipe all the way over to that config screen.
Config, yes.
What I would like you to do is maybe even you can put it in the chat, or if you just want to read it off to me, whatever makes the most sense. What I'd like to do is there's a unit ID at the top of that screen. And all I need to do is get that kind of string of numbers and letters from you, and I can register it to this demo account.
Oh, okay. it's A656B 701 D66 D821.
Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. And I'll have you double check to make sure that I've got it in here correctly, but I think I've got it. Give me 1 second to find. InstaCaliper. There it is. Okay.
Checked.
I was gonna
Does
say,
it work?
make sure that we've got the right one in here, because it's so easy to have a typo in that. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen real fast again, and you can double check to make sure it matches. Okay. All right, so it should now be that last unit ID there. Let me know if I caught it right.
I think it is right. I will check. Yep.
Perfect. So now
Perfect.
You're all registered up here. You can log into this account, and you can also play around a little bit, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'll let you know when I get up some kind of more sample setup from the account I'm thinking of. So I'll let you know when I do that, and I'll get you a link to the video. Do you have any other questions or anything right now?
No, not at the moment. No, I'll have a look.
Yeah,
play
we'll
around.
Keep the conversation going.
Yeah, and then I would say yeah, let's plan a next moment for some more detail, the first experience, but maybe first the e-grow information and playing around a little bit. But somewhere in April there should be some time for a next moment.
Yeah, I think that's
okay with you.
Definitely doable. So
Yeah.
See an email from me, if not today, probably by the end of the day tomorrow. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, curious to hear about Cheyenne and their first experience. So
yep, we'll touch base with them too. So perfect. I appreciate all your time.
Yeah, no problem. For you, the same. Thank you for this moment, and look forward to the next meeting.
Perfect.
So
all right,
thanks.
We'll talk soon.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.